My name is Andrea Laurenzano, and I have the honor of talking to you about living by faith. What exactly does that look like, and what does that mean? Well, Hebrews chapter 11 is a great place to turn to see what it looks like to live by faith. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see." The chapter goes on to repeat the phrase, by faith. By faith, so-and-so did this. By faith, so-and-so did that. There's example after example of our extraordinary God working through ordinary people when those people chose to live by faith. I recently did a Bible study by Francis Chan, and it was based on his book, Crazy Love. And in one of the videos, he tells a story of when he was at Bible college, and a professor asked the class, "What are you doing right now to live by faith?" And he felt convicted because he couldn't think of anything that he was doing in his life that required any faith. And I ask you that same question. What are you doing right now that requires faith? Are you staying in your comfort zone and only serving God and people in ways that depend on your own skills and your own strengths? Or are you living by faith and serving God in a way that actually requires God to show up? So if you're choosing not to live by faith, you're missing out on a front row seat of God doing extraordinary things, not only in your life, but in the life of those around you. There are definitely some things, though, that can stop us from living by faith. It can be pride or selfishness or fear. One of those times in my life was back in 2010. We were living in Washington State, and it's where I grew up. It's where my family lived. We had great friends, excellent church, but it was the middle of a recession, and my husband lost his job. And after months and months of searching, we still hadn't found anything in Washington, and so he expanded his search to the rest of the country. And during that time, I was going through a women's Bible study on the book of Exodus. And in the book of Exodus, God shows the Israelites where to go as they're fleeing Egypt by a pillar of fire and a pillar of clouds. And so my big, bold prayer during that time was, "God, give me that pillar and I will follow. Wherever you show us to go, I will go there." Well, he answered my big, bold prayer by landing that pillar of fire right over Nashville, Tennessee. And to say I was disappointed would be an understatement. I threw a temper tantrum, I cried, I yelled, I flat out refused to go. But right in the middle of my temper tantrum, my dear and very wise friend, Rebecca, said to me, "Andrea, do not let Tennessee be your Nineveh." So I went home that night, read the book of Jonah, and said, "Okay, I'm gonna trust you, God, even though this is not what I asked for, this is not what I wanted, I'll trust you." And so by faith, I took my 2-year-old by one hand and my cat by the other, and left everything I knew behind and boarded that plane to Nashville. That step of faith had a ripple effect in our life. It led to other opportunities to step out in faith, and each step of faith became easier and easier because I had already seen God prove himself faithful in my life with that first step that I took. And the blessings that we have seen in our lives, the opportunities to serve and to be in ministry, have been such an incredible blessing for our family, and what I've been able to see in other people's lives as well, that never would have come to fruition had we stayed in Washington. And so I encourage you to take that first step of faith. And it will lead to more steps, but those steps will get easier and easier as you learn to trust and rely on a God who is capable of far more than you could ever hope or imagine. A couple of caveats, though, for living by faith. First one is God will never ask you to do something that goes against his word or his character. So make sure you know this book and know it well. Get these words into your heart so that you can discern the voice of God. Also, get wise and godly counsel around you. People like my friend Rebecca, who will spur you on and encourage you to step out in faith, but will also help give you wise counsel when you might be making a rash or ungodly decision. So go forward, take big, bold steps in faith, and know that you can trust in a God who loves you and whose promises are true.